Thank you for being part of this presentation today. Our focus today is U.S. government, and we're looking at Unit 2, which is branches and levels of government, and we're focusing on the legislative branch tutorial. Please remember that it is very important that you take notes while listening or reading this tutorial. This will help you understand more the content and be able to answer all of the questions that you will encounter in this particular tutorial. The objective for this tutorial is that you will examine the structure and powers of the legislative branch. Now let's move on. This is page 12 of the legislative branch tutorial. This activity is fairly simple. All you're doing is looking at this box right here in which you have the legislative branch, and then you have other branches like the White House, in this case the President, and the Supreme Court. And what you're doing is you're grabbing these tiles right here and you're placing them where you think they belong. In this case, creates and passes laws. We know that that is the job of the legislative branch, and that is what I did. And you do the same for all of these concepts here or tiles here. You place them where they belong, and that takes care of that activity. We are now on page 21 of the legislative branch tutorial, and this is where you actually need to write a response to the question. And the question goes like this: how would the political process change if congressional districting were organized by strictly geographic principles instead of by the political process in the legislature? Please make sure that you go back to the tutorials and be able to provide a good solid response here. We're looking for at least a good paragraph. This means 5 good sentences that explain what you're being asked to do here in this particular activity. We are now on page 23 of the legislative branch tutorial, and this is basically a lesson activity that you have to do. Make sure that you read the directions in order to understand what you're being asked to do. And let's read the activity part right here, and then question 1, so you'll know what to do for all of the blanks that you need to fill out or respond to. So right here it says under directions, read the instructions for this self-check activity and type in your response. At the end of the activity, click on the link to open the answer key. Use the answer to evaluate your response. Please make sure that you are answering truthfully. Make sure that you are answering based on your knowledge. Make sure that you are answering based on what you have written on your notes. Now, the activity part. When the Founding Fathers put together the first Congress, only white men could become members. This was largely because the Founding Fathers intended the legislative body to be made up of people like them, an elite group of educated men who own property. Over time, however, many of the original requirements for congressional membership have faded away, meaning that more people in the United States have become eligible to hold an elective office. The 113th Congress elected in 2012 was the most diverse Congress in history. Let's take a look at its membership. Question 1. To understand the diverse nature of the 113th Congress, it is important to understand the basic characteristics of the members. Using the summary page of the August 2013 Congressional Profile Survey, by the way, you have to click on this link in order to get the information that you will need in order to answer many of the parts in this activity. Find the average age, party affiliation, gender, and length of service of the voting members in both houses of Congress. Enter this information in the table provided below. So in order to answer this questions here or this parts here in this table, you need to click on the Congressional Profile Survey link, and that should get you the answer. For example, you're gonna right here, it may be, for example, the Senate, the average age, the party, was it obviously male, female, and how long have they been in service? 6 years, 2 years, 4 years, 12 years, whatever it may be. And you need to do the same for both the Senate in this case and the House of Representatives. And that should take care of this part right here. Question number 2. Next, dig deeper into the congressional profile and skim the sections that address ethnicity, gender, educational level, and religious affiliation. Then answer the following questions, which will help you think more about the characteristics of the 113th Congress. Part A, what is the breakdown of ethnicity of the voting members of the 113th Congress? Please make sure that you go in there, you look at the link that it's up here on part or on question 1, and make sure that you answer this part. Part B is asking you, what does the religious makeup of 113th Congress looks like? Again, you need to look at that link. That's on the first question that you have to do, and make sure you answer that part. And the same thing for part C, which says, according to the profile, what is the educational level of most members of the 13th Congress? Are they like high school graduates? Do they have like a AA degree? Are they like attorneys? Or are they like, do they hold like a bachelor's degree? And make a list of what you see based on the information that you have. Now, question 3 says, use your knowledge of the United States as a whole, as well as your answer from the questions above and information you found in the report. How diverse does the 113th Congress seem to you? Give a specific example to back up your idea. So if you say that it was extremely diverse based on the information that you have, how was it? Like how many like African Americans, like how many Latinos, how many females, how many white males and females? So you need to put up a good list right here to answer this question. Question 4 is asking you, use your notes and previous knowledge, consider what the founding fathers would make of the 113th Congress. What, if anything, would they have found surprising? Write your opinion in a brief essay. A brief essay, we mean at least 3 solid paragraphs. Please do not do like 2 sentences or 1 paragraph. An essay has to have at least 3 solid paragraphs. For example, you need to have an introduction, you need to have a body paragraph, and you need to have a conclusion. And based on the information that are being asked, and should be fairly simple. For example, do you think the founding fathers will be surprised to see that diversity in Congress now? Or do you think they would be like, no, we meant for this to happen? It'll basically up to you how you want to, or how you see based on the information you found, that you will answer question number 4. Now let's move on to the next activities. We are now on page 27 of the legislative branch tutorial. And right here you have to answer the following question. Who leads the House of Representatives, and how is this role different from that of the leader of the Senate? Again, you have to look at your notes. It's very important for you to take notes. If you have your notes in front of you, you should be able to answer this question. In this case, who is the leader of the House of Representatives? And what is his or her job? What is she in charge of doing? And then you have to look at the leader of the Senate. What does the Senate do? What does the leader of the Senate do? So make sure you have a good solid paragraph to answer this question here. Let's move on to the next activity. We are now in the final lesson activity of this tutorial, but you still obviously have more slides to view. But this is page 29 of the legislative branch tutorial, lesson activity. In this case, the legislative branch, organization, and leadership. Please make sure you read directions. Please make sure you read this particular part here where it says activity, as you're going to get some background information as to how to answer the questions. And part A says, based on your knowledge, why are partisanship and a two-party system significant parts of the U.S. politics? Again, you have to look at your notes. Remember that the two-party system in the United States has been around for a very long time. And you can tie all of that connection that it has been around for a long time to cultural components of the United States. And obviously, you have to understand that in this country, a third-party system has not worked. So you have to be able to explain that here. How significant is the two-party system? How significant is the two-party system in the overall political arena in the United States? Please make sure that you answer here with a good paragraph. Part B says, what do you think are the potential positives and negatives to partisanship? Fill in the table with at least 2 positives and 2 negative examples. By the way, there's no table here, so what you can do is just make sure you list 2 positives and 2 negative examples. Provide a brief explanation for each one, and you should be okay on this part here. Part C is asking you or saying, using this information on partisanship, make sure you click on this. This is a link that will guide you to another page and should give you plenty of information. But this is saying, using this information on bipartisanship, explain what bipartisanship is and note some of the benefits of this approach. Again, you have to go to this link in order to be able to answer the question. And again, we're looking for a good solid paragraph that shows comprehension. Not one sentence, not two sentences, but a good paragraph. Please make sure also to continue to go all the way to the end of this tutorial. We are barely on page 29, so you have 5 more pages that you have to go through in order to get the best understanding of the legislative branch. I will talk to you soon.